two classes of rock. Again, we talked about igneous on Monday. So today we're going to look at sedimentary and metamorphic. And so we're going to look at sedimentary first, and there are three types of sedimentary, and we're going to look at these. First of all, let's look at the original definition, and we've known this, I think. We worked on it last week. But sedimentary rocks form at or near the surface of Earth through our three things: weathering breaks it, erosion takes it. When it all stops, deposition drops. Okay, and then burial of pieces, and then what's called cementation. So they are categorized, or their varieties are based on the way they form. And the three types of sedimentary now are clastic. That's a weird looking word, C-L-A-S-T-I-C, chemical, and organic. All right, clastic forms kind of in the traditional way, or what I think we would think of as how sedimentary rocks form. So the clastic sedimentary form when sediments are buried underneath dirt or whatever, compacted, smushed together, or cemented together by something called calcite or by quartz. So the size of the sediment that makes up the rock is used to classify these clastic rocks. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that. All right, the next thing we do want to focus on, though, is chemical sedimentary rocks, and these are like one of our 5 things of minerals. So they form when water, typically seawater, evaporates. So when it evaporates, the minerals that are in the water become concentrated. So there's more minerals than there is water left, to the point where they precipitate out or fall out of the solution and crystallize. So as you can see, this is the Bonneville Salt Flats in Salt Lake City. Okay, and that's all like salt, basically. So we looked at the word texture on Monday. Let's look at this question. How would you describe the texture of the halite, which is salt, shown below? So what do you think the texture looks like? Well, okay, it's pretty smooth. Not a lot of grains. Okay, it looks pretty clear. And again, there are the Bonneville Salt Flats near the Great Salt Lake. And they are the remains of an ancient lake bed. All right, the last type of sedimentary rock is what's called organic. So we've had clastic, chemical, and now this is organic. And it kind of makes sense. Remember, organic means living. So they form from the remains or fossils of once living plants and animals. So what happens is, I'll just read this. I know you can read, but I'll read it to you. Skeletons of marine organisms, which are made of calcium carbonate, collect on the ocean floor and eventually become buried, compacted, or cemented together to form specifically limestone. So that is organic. They have remains or fossils in them. Okay, look, you can see the actual fossils there. And some examples are terms coquina, chalk, of course, which we know, and something very common in our lives is coal. All right, so what are 2 types of organic sedimentary rock? Well, from the previous slide, there's limestone, coquina, chalk, and coal. Chalk and coal are probably the 2 we are most common with. Okay, so we've got a chart here, and we'll use this for the next couple days maybe, but that discusses these types of rocks. So we're going to compare and contrast, just like with the Lorax, similarities and differences. Okay, so for clastic, we have forms from sediment, okay, that's cemented together. So that's kind of what we think of the basic sedimentary rock. And then it can be fine, medium, or coarse grained. We talked about that, the in-school learners on class on Monday. Fine means you cannot see it. Medium, obviously in between. Coarse grain, you can see the pieces. All right, chemical sedimentary rocks form from solutions of dissolved minerals. Think of salt. Okay, and then lastly, organic forms from the remains of plants and animals. That should be easy to remember. Organic. All right, the last type of rock is metamorphic, and there are 2 types. First of all, metamorphic rock is made, as we did last week or reviewed, is when it's exposed to high pressure and temperature. Okay, the crystal structures of the minerals change to form new minerals. So when that happens, it has what's called metamorphic rock. And it's going to be one of two things. One type is called foliated texture, and the other is non-foliated. So foliated is when there is enough pressure and it realigns the mineral games to form bands. This nice, I know it doesn't look like it, but that's how it's pronounced. Look how you can see the bands. Okay? So that is a good example of a foliated metamorphic rock. So when shale is exposed to increasing temperature and pressure, different foliated rocks form. Okay? So we start at the top, and my mouse won't go up there, with sedimentary shale. Okay? And then it takes us through all of the steps. So as it says, the minerals recrystallize, they become different crystals, and they ultimately end up into distinct bands. All right, non-foliated means they're under immense heat and pressure, and they form no bands. Marble is very common. You've probably seen marble. The other one is quartzite, but you see no bands. No bands are present. Okay, so here is something being milled on marble. It's non-foliated, that forms when limestone, so it starts as sedimentary, and then it's metamorphosed. I like that word. Marble is used to build monuments and statues. Okay, so characteristics of non-foliated metamorphic. Okay, no bands or no aligned minerals. All right. I'm not going to go over these questions with you. We have our own questions. And we will stop there. We will look at these questions later. So hopefully that clears up the types of metamorphic and sedimentary rock. Answer your questions. Do a nice job. We'll look at them all more specifically on Wednesday. Have a good day.